Welcome, folks, to another episode of Spilling Tea. As always, I am your host, Tiffany Daniels. So we are rounding out the two videos we went over yesterday on conservatorship due to certain two pick a cause ambulance chasers who compared a certain situation to the conservatorship of Britney Spears. I'm not naming any names. Barlow. But I did mention something that I thought with the situation with Britney should have been the approach that they had taken all along. It's called partial guardianship. So, for those interested and who actually may need this information later on, we're going to go over what partial guardianship is and why overall it tends to be a better situation for those who do need that a little bit of conservatorship due to mental or disability circumstances, but you also don't want to take away somebody's autonomy. So I always recommend going this route in such cases. A partial guardian is a guardian who has only those powers that are set forth in the order of appointment and the letters of guardianship. She or he possesses lesser than all the legal rights and powers of a plenary guardian. They have special powers that are clearly specified and conferred by a court order. In a case of a partial guardianship, the wards possess some legal control over themselves. So in a partial guardianship, you are still considered basically a legal adult. You are able to vote, for example. If you want to go out for a drive, you do not have to call and ask somebody's permission. You have control over who can come and see you. Basically, this means that the only thing that the person is able to have powers over you are things that the two of you have already agreed upon with a court and a caseworker. Things that you actually need help with. So, this means you get the benefits of the guardianship for those who may not be fully capacitated to make all the decisions for yourself. But you are able to keep your own autonomy. You are able to make legal decisions, business decisions, hire and fire your own staff without having to call and ask permission. So, let's go in a little bit to this, and then we're also going to go into the option for power of attorney. A power of attorney is good for more emergency cases should a person become incapacitated due to their disability or mental issue, or they end up in the hospital. It's a little bit different from partial guardianship because it doesn't really include things such as financial. So, how would a partial guardianship have benefited Ms. Spears in the beginning? Well, that's sort of obvious. Obviously, with what we saw back in the early 2000s, she was definitely needing some help. There was stuff that was going on there. However, to completely remove her autonomy entirely, I believe it was a step that was way too far. And as we've gone over in the last two videos, full conservatorship is, more often than not, abused by those who have the full power over the conservatory. Partial guardianship gives you the option, if you feel that someone is taking liberties being your conservator, you have the option to go and hire your own lawyer. You have the option to be able to no, I don't like this. Basically, it allows you to make your own decisions still. This simply assists in areas where the court and judge agree with you that you do need that extra aid. You also have more power in being able to choose who exactly the conservator is going to be. When you're in a situation like Miss Spears, what I would recommend, because it is so difficult to just go straight out of a guardianship, is I would recommend her and her lawyers fight for, instead of continuing the conservatorship as is, give Miss Spears the opportunity to choose that she can be responsible for her own life by giving her a piece of that responsibility back, scaling back the guardianship into a partial guardianship so that she's got the legal rights back to make her own decisions, except in areas that would be determined by the court and the professionals and the people surrounding her, where she would still need that aid. That way she has the chance to prove that she can handle her own life. Now, I did say I'd also go over power of attorney. Power of attorney and guardianship are not the same thing at all. Power of attorney has to do mainly, as far as I know, which is quite a bit, that has to do with medical. Basically, if you are incapacitated and are unable, for whatever the reason may be, to make medical decisions on your own behalf, what you do is you fill out a power of attorney and select somebody that you trust in order to make the decisions for you. For example, I have my mother, who's been in the medical field for years, as my medical power of attorney, because having been in the medical field for years and having discussed wishes with her should I become incapacitated, I would trust her to carry out wishes as I would see fit. Other options include, if someone is incapacitated, what we call a living will. But that's an entirely different subject and completely unrelated. But you see how all these things all link together. Now, how does this all apply to the JDAH situation? It doesn't. If you listen to these two videos and hear me talk about partial guardianship and power of attorney, you can see very quickly how this has absolutely nothing to do with the Me Too movement at all. This isn't even about women's rights, as there are many men that have been abused under conservatorship. I know I've helped them fight that being under conservatorship. What you're looking at in this situation is disability rights and what constitutes in regards to how is the ability to handle one's own adulthood, why is that being defined by the court and not medical professionals? Just saying is all. It's a disability rights issue. It's a mental health rights issue. It is elderly rights issue. It is not anything to do with the Me Too movement whatsoever. That was why I got so angry and felt the need to go into detail what this issue actually is, what it's all about, what the options actually are. Because quite frankly, if you're trying to pull this situation into the Me Too movement, you have no idea what you're talking about. You are completely misusing and diminishing a major issue that has been worked on by disability advocates for 20 to 30 years, if not longer. It's just one of those things that, Eve, you're a journalist, sweetheart, you're a journalist. We do welcome scrutiny into how conservatorship can be used to abuse and extort from people with disabilities and mental illness. But if you would like to dig into the subject, actually dig into the subject and quit trying to use it to push your own agenda. Look up disability rights. Look into the actual issues brought up by conservatorship. And by the way, if you're going to do that, do equal reporting, my dear, because it doesn't just affect women in the disability and the mental health communities. It also affects men. Okay. My rant on that is over. Now, to go ahead and close things out, we are on Depth Movie Night, folks, and I am up to number 4 already. I started out with From Hell, did Dark Shadows, Public Enemies, and now I'm on one I've never even heard of and didn't even know existed till right now, Before Nightfall, so we'll see how that goes. I have that playing in the background. So everybody keep participating, keep tweeting, keep sending it out on social media. They have put out a news clip about how we are doing this to support the disgraced JD, which is a load of crap. So just as for revenge, folks, tweet it, send it everywhere. Let's just be that pebble in their shoe that annoys them all day, shall we? Shall we? Alright, folks, we don't get many views on this channel. The few that we do tend to get removed by YouTube. So if you could, please don't forget to hit that like button. Hit subscribe. Don't forget to hit the comments. I do appreciate your time today, and I do hope you have a good one. Thank you.